The Last of Us and The Walking Dead are two series that are really popular in their respective fields. They're both series in which the world basically has ended, and now there are survivors trying to survive and avoid getting eaten or killed by the undead or the dead, depending on which series you're watching. And considering that they're both so similar, which one is better, The Walking Dead or The Last of Us? Since The Walking Dead has God knows how many seasons by now, 10, 20, and The Last of Us is fairly new and has just aired as of the recording of this video, there's literally only one season out, I'm going to only compare the first season of The Walking Dead to obviously the first season of The Last of Us and see which one is better. The quality of season 1, 2, and 3 of The Walking Dead is a lot different from, let's say, season 10. It is a lot different because when series get dragged on for that long, obviously the quality is gonna change, things are gonna be different. It can't possibly stay the same, the cast members change. So even though, yes, it's still the same storyline, it is a very different show in season 10 than, let's say, season 1. So for that purpose, again, that's the other reason in which why I'm only going to focus on the first season of The Walking Dead. The Last of Us is an action-adventure video game that was developed by Naughty Dog, and the released TV show that HBO made, it pretty much tries to mirror that video game, and it comes pretty close at being an almost perfect adaptation. Obviously, not everything can be perfect, especially when you're taking a video game and you're adapting it into a TV show. Adapting a video game into a TV series or a movie is very different than, let's say, a book, because a book, it's at least a little bit easier if everything that's in the book is within the realms of reality. But a video game is very different because it was made to be a video game. It was made to be played by people, not watched as a TV series. So the adaptations for video games, I feel like, can be a bit harder to actually accomplish, but somehow The Last of Us managed to pull it off. The series takes place in a world that's ravaged by a deadly virus that has turned humanity into zombie-like creatures, and they're called the Infected. There's pretty much two main characters in this series. The first one is Joel, who's a hardened survivor, and then he's tasked to take care of this girl, Ellie, who basically holds the key to the cure. And they pretty much face the same challenges that the typical Survivor series offers, in which, you know, the main issue is that there's a whole bunch of zombies or creatures that are after them, trying to eat them, trying to infect them. But then the other thing they have to worry about are people who actually are trying to turn against them, people who are trying to hurt them. Then you realize the main problem is not the actual zombies, but it's the other people. And from what I've seen, people who've played the game actually really like the show, and as well as people who have never played the game like the show as well. In general, it's positively received pretty well throughout everyone who watches it. Yes, there are a few things here and there, like there was one controversial episode that was about LGBT topics, but that's not surprising that it was controversial. But in general, the show has been received pretty well. The only somewhat consistent complaint that I do see from The Last of Us is that there's not enough zombies in horror. A lot of it is just human drama. And this is something that The Walking Dead has as well, but it's not just drama because they do mix in zombies and action scenes here and there. But I do have to say though, sometimes in Walking Dead, it does seem a little bit forced. Like, okay, we have this great plot going on, but let's get back to the zombies. But sometimes that can be a bit forced, but when it's done right, it's actually done really well and you actually do enjoy it for what it is. I remember playing The Last of Us, the game, way back in 2013. And from what I remember the game, it was a lot of basically fighting zombies, trying to escape traps, trying to survive not getting eaten. And it's been one of the most popular PlayStation games in recent times. It definitely was fun playing it. I never finished the game completely. And it wasn't your typical like zombie shooting game, mostly for the fact of how compelling the storytelling was. When you think about The Last of Us video game, the compelling thing about the game was that not just was it a game, but it was a story along with the game. So now that it's become an actual TV series, do you think they're gonna focus more of the game aspect in which you have to fight the zombies? Or do you think they're gonna focus more on the storytelling part that really compelled the game and made the game famous in the first place? Obviously, they're gonna focus on the story because they're converting it to a TV show, and the TV show thing is mainly going to be about the story, because you can't just have, oh, okay, you're gonna shoot zombies here, you're gonna shoot zombies there, because anyone can do that. When it comes down to it, it's about the story. But I still do think they are somewhat legitimate in saying that there aren't enough action scenes. Yeah, they probably could have added a little bit more here and there. The Walking Dead is a television series that first aired in 2010. Season 1 consists of 6 episodes, and the series is based on a comic series, and it follows a group of people. Rick Grimes, a police officer who wakes up from a coma, and he finds the world overrun by zombies. He sets out to find his family, and eventually he teams up with a group of survivors, and one of the people who's in this group, his name is Shane Walsh. So essentially you have another zombie series, except in this one they don't use the word zombies, neither in The Last of Us or basically any zombie series. You'll never hear them say zombie in the actual series, but in The Walking Dead they call them walkers. And within season 1 specifically, the dynamic between the main character Rick and also Shane is really the strong point of the season, and especially later on. Throughout the season, the group faces numerous challenges, including conflict with other survivors and the constant threat of the undead. They also struggle to find food, shelter, and other basic necessities while trying to survive in the world in which all of the rules that previously existed no longer exist. For The Last of Us, the background and supporting characters are very well developed. The supporting characters of the series really is a backbone, and without them, I don't really think you would have much of a show. And I have yet to see this in The Last of Us yet, but in The Walking Dead, essentially no one is safe. Once you get attached to a character, there's no guarantee that they're going to survive or they're going to last. Now, there is a lot of plot armor, I'm not gonna lie about that. The Walking Dead uses plot armor like every other scene, but like I said, don't get too attached to the characters because you never know, they might be there one day, but then the next episode, they're gone. And another criticism that I've always had about The Walking Dead is that it just has way too many characters, and you can kind of tell when a character comes into the series just for them to be killed off, because it'll just be the most random thing ever, or they'll appear in the most random way just for them to later be killed off. But I feel like The Last of Us kind of did it right, in which they're focused on a very small core group of people, and then they also focus on the characters that are around those two people. So now that we're here, we've come down to the final question. Which is the better series? The Walking Dead or The Last of Us? And I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this because The Last of Us has a massive hype train right now and everyone loves it, and I do have to agree they've done a really great job at adapting the series from a video game, and it is good. I'm not gonna lie about it, it is good. It does have a few flaws here and there, but let's be honest, which show doesn't? I'm not even gonna get started with the flaws that The Walking Dead had after season 1, and basically every other season after basically like season 4 or 5 has just been absolutely dumpster fire. But if I'm comparing season 1 of The Walking Dead to season 1 of The Last of Us, me personally, I just enjoyed the first season of The Walking Dead before, and I feel like that mostly just has to do with the fact of The Walking Dead was something new to me at the time. Even though, yes, I did know what zombie movies were and I was familiar with that, I never really watched a series that was based on it. The Walking Dead was the first zombie series in which I felt like I was really invested in the characters and invested in what was going on in their lives and whatnot. And The Last of Us has done a really good job at that also. But I can't just overlook The Walking Dead. I do slightly prefer it. Season 1, that is. Remember that. Keep that in mind. Season 1 of The Walking Dead, I do think is better. But to be honest with you, I don't think if The Last of Us continues, you know, season 2, season 3, season 4, that they're gonna bomb it like The Walking Dead did, because they really did just drag it on for so long. And I can't believe it went on for as long as it did. I feel like they basically have a blueprint of what not to do. So now I feel like The Last of Us has that advantage to really become a good series. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until we meet again, thanks for watching.